Breaking news this morning, my friends. With all of the attention of a close electoral college tracker, the United 2026 World Cup bid has defeated the Moroccan bid to host the 2026 World Cup by a vote of 134 to 65. 104 votes were needed to win. This is massive news, as this is the first time the Men's World Cup will be hosted on North American soil since 1994, and you can argue that helped kickstart some major developments in at least the United States from a soccer standpoint. I think there's a few reasons the 2026 bid is going to Canada, Mexico, and the United States. First off is money, cash money. FIFA likes that money. It's estimated to produce $11 billion in profit for FIFA, compared to, I think it was about $6 billion for Morocco. It's hard to leave $5 billion on the table. The second thing is, and I don't think you can understate this, it'll be the first time there's going to be 48 teams in the tournament. That means more stadiums, more infrastructure like hotels, things like that. North America has those things already in place, right? 60 of the 80 games are going to be played in the United States, and we've got gigantic stadiums and lots of hotels here. You don't need to build as much. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to need to build some things, because that's definitely going to be true, but just not as much as if you're going to take it to Morocco with 48 teams for the first time in the history of the tournament. I have two questions, though, and I'd like to hear from you in the comments. How much is it going to cost for the average fan to go to a single game? You've got to think that $11 billion profit number, big chunk of that is going to be TV revenue, of course. But you've got to think the other part of that is going to be ticket sales. So with all the travel that's involved, there's going to be 16 host cities, and I'm going to show you the potential cities here in just a second. With all that travel, will your average fan be able to go to more than one game? Or will they have to stick it out for one game if they don't live in the host city? Obviously, if you live in the host city, that gives you an advantage, but what will the ticket cost be? Not to mention if you had to travel, airfare, hotels, all that kind of stuff, because obviously Canada, Mexico, United States, that's a long distance if you're wanting to go to different games. And as I mentioned, here are the 23 potential host cities. Only 16 of them are going to get to host at least a single game. You've got to think Mexico City's got strong running to host a good chunk of the Mexican games. Again, there's going to be 60 games in the United States. The remaining 20 are split between Canada and Mexico. If I'm the committee, I think you do like a Seattle, an LA, a Dallas, an Atlanta, and like something up in the Northeast like Philly or New York for the US games, because those areas, it's kind of spreading it out amongst like the country. And those are big markets that have big stadiums, like Atlanta United. I've got to think that's where that's going to go. Although it is a turf field, so I'm not sure how that works, if there's regulations against that. Seattle, LA. So interesting situation. We'll have to see which cities get to host. So the second question I have is, will all three hosting countries get an automatic qualifier? Because that's what usually happens. You host the World Cup, your team automatically qualifies. But will they give it to all three teams? I would think with 48 teams in the pool, the answer has to be yes. It has to be all three or none. Like, you can't give it to just one. But if they give it to all three, and I would think that they would, congratulations goes out to Canada for qualifying for the World Cup, guaranteeing themselves a spot for the first time since 1986. Now, that's not counting 2022. They could make it there too. But they've at least guaranteed themselves, if that is true, a 2026 bid for the first time since 1986. That's massive news. And yes, I'm wearing a U.S. men's national team jersey. We could poke a little bit of fun. Since the U.S. didn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup, they would then also guarantee themselves a spot in 2026. Mexico's like, we don't need a spot. Like, maybe they'll give two qualification spots, and it'll go to Canada and the United States, because Mexico's like, yeah, we got this. We're going to qualify. We're that good. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'm off to go look up the price you can get for a kidney so I can start saving for tickets for me and my family. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.